This is Sheriff Spotlight with the Rockingham County Sheriff's Office, highlighting the office and deputies dedicated to providing law enforcement services and maintaining the trust and support of Rockingham County citizens, all while keeping neighborhoods and communities safe.
Good morning, and thanks for joining us for our August 2022 edition of Sheriff Spotlight, your premier podcast for all things Rockingham County Sheriff's Office and around Rockingham County. I'm your host for today's show, Lieutenant Kevin Southard, and in the studio with me today is Sheriff Sam Page.
It's an honor to be here today.
Yes, sir.
And summertime is ending.
Yes. We are seeing cooler weather, and I'm enjoying that a lot. I'm looking forward to the fall. I'm not built for the hot weather. 100-degree weather.
For some reason, though, I think you are, because you like to fish.
I do. I suffer through it, but it doesn't mean I enjoy the hot weather.
Have you had time to fish this summer?
Some, yes, some. So,
but I hadn't seen you take any pictures. Did you not catch anything?
Well, we'll leave that for another day, another topic.
We have Kevin to take pictures. We don't want to.
I always joke around. I said, if I ever had to fish for a living, I'd starve to death. If I was fishing for a paycheck, I'd starve to death. But it doesn't mean I don't enjoy doing it. So.
Well, I know it's one of your hobbies there and stuff. Well, as we move through August, something else comes to mind.
School
and football.
Yes.
We're blessed. We have 4 county high schools here. Mm-hmm. We have Reidsville, we have Moorhead, we have McMichael, and we have Rockingham. Mm-hmm. And all their football season, I believe they're starting to play some games this Friday.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you get a chance, come out and support your teams across Rockingham County. And good luck to all of our teams. Go, fight, win, as they say.
Absolutely.
And of course, school starts back. You got the date, don't you?
August 29th. Monday, August 29th, it'll start back.
And that'll be all schools in Rockingham County? Mm-hmm. All right.
The traditional schools, the ones that take the summers off. The year-round schools have a different schedule altogether.
So in Rockingham County, we have your traditional public schools. We have a charter school, a Bethany charter, and we're getting ready to have another charter school, I think, over near Covington. Mm-hmm. A few private schools are coming online. I believe one out near 158, which will be a private school out that way. And of course, then you got some of your other schools, Community Baptist and some other church schools going on. And then there'll be a lot of children I talk to are homeschooled. So of course, when I always tell them this, that if you're homeschooled, you get to go to school even when it snows.
Well,
they don't look too happy.
Technology's caught up to that for the regular school kids as well, because they've all but done away with the school days now that you can Zoom. Mm-hmm. You still have to have school during a snow day.
Yes,
it feels like you're stealing something from the children when they don't get to go outside and play in the snow.
Roy, we have Zoom. We cannot escape Zoom.
It's done changed the world.
It is convenient, I will say. But I like that. I like that in-person contact and stuff.
So new school year, new superintendent. Tell us about that.
Ms. Stover.
Yes.
Ms. Stover is our new school superintendent. I think he told me the other day that I was the first person that called him on his phone. And of course, I was reminding him that we will be doing. And you help me on this date also. We'll be doing our safe schools and our school bus safety rollout.
Wednesday, August 23rd.
So that'll be next week.
Yes.
And what we'll be doing is, we always do this every year. We meet with all the police departments, the school superintendent, and we talk, and highway patrol, and we talk about school safety and some of the enforcement activities we'll be doing around school zones. I always say, put your cell phone down when you're in a school zone.
Absolutely. Yeah. And give yourself some extra time.
Yeah, don't
As
rush.
School starts back. I'm sure you get into that rhythm over the summer of not encountering any school buses, not having to wait on any traffic as they stop and go and at the schools and stuff like that. And so you'll have to adjust your schedule a little bit and give yourself a little bit more time.
Right.
Because you're going to encounter those things starting August 29th.
And keeping with, plan ahead, make sure you have plenty of time, and don't get in a rush, and definitely do not speed in our school zones. Mm-hmm. Watch out for our school buses, those bright yellow buses there's a reason why they're painting that color, and there's a reason why they got all those lights. When you start seeing those lights come on, what should you do?
Stop. Yes.
Get ready to stop. That's right. As far as penalties go, probably one of the, if you pass a school bus, which is the most dangerous thing you can do, but also the penalties is probably one of the highest amount of points you can get on a citation. But also, it's very dangerous, and it could cost someone their lives, particularly our children. So we want to make sure that when you see school buses, prepare to
stop.
Okay.
Let me throw this at you too.
Go ahead.
Most of the buses, like everything else now, have cameras equipped on them.
They do.
So if you pass a school bus and you're
And the
fortunate
stop
enough
arm
not
is
to
out, right?
harm someone, you're going to get caught on camera, and they're going to turn you in, and you're still going to get a ticket. So just keep that in mind. Don't do it. Don't do it.
And also this year, this is something else that's fairly new. All the school buses will have radio communications.
Okay.
So in case of emergency or anything like that, or if they see something that's an emergency, they have the ability to call into the base, to the central bus office, and be able to communicate that information so we can get our first responders out. Or if there's a situation where one of the buses breaks down or has a problem, that they can call in too. So communications and technology has finally, I'm a former school bus driver back in the days when you had to shift gears.
Right.
Now they're automatics and they have air conditioning. Our air conditioning
Oh,
was drop the windows, right?
Yeah,
But the thing is, now they have cell phones, they have camera systems here to document activity around those buses, and also they have a lot of lighting systems. They really work hard on safety. They were doing some safety testing the other day for new bus drivers, and it was kind of reminiscent of the old days when we were driving buses. But their buses look nicer though. but anyway, as we approach the school season here, be ready for next week. We'll be talking about it, and we're going to continue talking about school bus safety and safety around our schools throughout the year. We'll be talking about school safety, but our big push starts August
the 23rd is when we'll have that.
And then school starts on the, traditional school starts on the 29th. Mm-hmm. Okay. So watch out for our children. They're very precious.
Absolutely. Yes. Now, talking about school safety, school resource officers. Let's talk school resource officers.
About a week ago, all the school resource officers from across Rockingham County, the crisis team persons, our psychologists, our support personnel, counselors, Stephanie Ellis, Dr. Ellis, coordinated this event. Dr. Stover was there, also our superintendent, and teachers from all over the county met at Rockingham Middle School and spent a day of talking about our safety plans, talked about our contingencies, our reunification programs. Rodney Cates is our emergency services director. He brought a lot of information to the table, and they went through some exercises, just basically preparing and getting ready for this school year to make sure everybody knows about our safety programs, whether you want to report something like the Say Something program, where you want to report something anonymous about a threat or risk or something going on around one of our schools. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And other information that we push out. And also, we want to make sure that our parents are well informed. So if you go to the Rockingham County School website, you can see additional information on safety and some things you might be interested in reading about.
Yes, a lot going on there.
A lot going on. Now, here's some good news also, is Dr. Ellis, I saw a message this morning, is that she is going to be applying for a school resource officer safety grant that could, if we're awarded, could mean that we may be seeing some more school resource officers in some of our schools. Because right now,
I know you've made a big push for that.
Right, yes. Absolutely.
Over the past few years.
My goal is to see a school resource officer in every school. That's the best program to protect our children. But also, over the past few years, money has been spent that's come down from the federal government, I'm sure, to the state level, to our local level, and our school system have used those monies for enhanced camera systems, alerting systems, door lock systems, enhancements for school safety around the facilities. And of course, our crisis teams, our beta teams have come online. But a lot of that happened because of the administration, Dr. Shotwell and his staff, Dr. Ellis and his staff working together to bring these programs about. But this year we may see a few additional school resource officers. I know Reidsville is wanting additional. I know Eden is wanting additional. Of course, the sheriff's office is wanting additional. But now that being said, we also have support, been in communication with the governor's office, Department of Public Safety, Eddie Buffalo, who's now the secretary there, is the probation officers across the county are going to be assisting, and I'm not sure about the number they have, but they're going to be assisting at our different schools, doing safety walks and checks. On their vests, when they come in, they'll have probation officers on their vests or their shirts, and they are armed. We've asked for support of the Highway Patrol So if you see a highway patrolman, in the school zone, you better not be speeding.
That's right.
But also, if you see one in the parking lot, they may be doing a report, or they may go in and do some walks also. But the highway patrol, I even talked with the supervisor of the alcohol law enforcement, and they all fall under public safety. So don't be surprised seeing the different officers visiting the schools. That's an extra layer of protection for our children, our staff, and our schools.
It doesn't necessarily mean that anything's wrong. They're just coming there to do a walkthrough,
That's
safety
right.
checks.
It's a
force multiplier.
It's the state's way and our way of working together as a collaboration to improve school safety.
Absolutely. All right. Now we're talking about officers. Let's talk about the officers that have been shot in the line of duty here in the past 3 weeks or so, last month.
Well,
in North Carolina.
We have had specifically, I think we've had six. Deputies or officers that have been shot in the line of duty, and 2 of our deputies died in the line of duty. They were killed. And currently, I know there's an investigation ongoing for our most recent deputy that was killed in the line of duty last week in Wake County. There's some news on the information on the news. I can't really go into a whole lot of detail. But they did stop 1 or 2 persons of interest up in Burke County yesterday. So I hope everything pans out.
Yes.
I hope they can hurry up and bring this person to justice that were involved in taking the life of this deputy. You know, we've got many brave men and women that go out every day, they put the badge on, and their goal is to protect and serve the public. And the last thing you think about is somebody taking the life of a deputy or an officer or a trooper out here, or anybody in public safety. I just can't fathom it. You know, when I came into law enforcement work 40 years ago in Rockingham County, you know, the dangers have always been here in law enforcement work. It's always been here. But what bothers me now is the frequencies of these events where officers are being shot.
What do you think's fueling that?
Well, I think there's several things, but you know, if you go back, I look at the Ferguson event and stuff like this. I looked at the responses and some of the ill will I call it basically the villainization of officers, the rhetoric you're hearing from the local level all the way to Washington, elected officials talking about a lot of the conversation about reform. Don't get me wrong, reform can be good, but also sometimes reform can be overboard too when there are programs that already work, just like in our school safety program. We have programs that are working, and we work with those programs every day. You know, we communicate with each other. But in law enforcement in general, every day our guys go out. They go out to protect and serve our citizens. Law enforcement officers are that thin blue line between the bad guys and the good guys. We're the protectors. And we support all of our law enforcement officers across the state 100%. We appreciate our volunteers, we appreciate our first responders, and we appreciate our law enforcement officers. Specifically, with these officers getting shot in the past, 6 officers in 3 weeks. That's too much. That's too much violence going on directed toward our law enforcement and our first responders.
Absolutely, I will agree with that. Let's talk about Project Safe Neighborhoods of Rockingham County. That's a program that's been going on for a while now, and it doesn't get a lot of fanfare or anything, but it's an important program, and
it is
one that some people have had some questions about lately. So why don't you tell us about it?
Well, Project Safe in Rockingham County, let me go back. Project Safe or Safe Streets initiatives by the federal government, those programs. I first saw the programs in High Point and some other, in Forsyth County. I went to some of their conversations about what they were doing, what their intent was, which is basically to reduce gun violence and violence in our communities. You know, our murders, our armed robberies, our crimes of violence. They're trying to reduce those. And what they try to do is identify persons that are the worst of the worst and targeting those persons to get them off the street.
All right.
And so let me go back to Rockingham County now. When Phil Berger Jr. was in, he was our district attorney. He worked to bring the UNC, University of North Carolina, to come in. He was also brought in other law enforcement to come together and community leaders to come together to start this program, including the U.S. Attorney's Office. Rob Lane comes to mind,
Right.
and others, and our prosecutors from the federal side, and of course the District Attorney's Office. But it brings in different partners, community partners, law enforcement partners, prosecutors partners at the local and the federal level, and the whole purpose is identify the worst of the worst, call those persons in, the ones that are on probation, bring them in, sit down with them and tell them this is what's going on and this is where you're going to be if you stay on this path of danger, threat, and destruction, and basically trying to harm others in the community. This is where you're going to end up. Mm-hmm. But you have a chance to turn your life around and get support from the faith community, from the business community, from the law enforcement community, because I have no problem telling a person that's going down a bad path, if you turn around and change your ways, you can receive help. Mm-hmm. and start your life over in the right way. I've seen successes where people that initially when they were younger were doing some really stupid stuff, mm-hmm. and harming people and harming the communities, but I've seen persons that also have turned their lives around to do good.
Right.
And I know it can happen, but this is, it's another concept, because I can tell you this right now. There's some people that need to be locked away and never see daylight. Mm-hmm. But there's some persons that, again, are salvageable, okay? Not everybody will be, mm-hmm. but there are a lot of people that are. And so the thing is, just like the Second Chance Act back in, I think, 2016 or 17, at the federal level, mm-hmm. to give persons that have been convicted of nonviolent felonies a chance to redeem themselves, mm-hmm. okay? And give a hand and offer a hand to help a person up. Mm-hmm. And so the thing is, Project Safe basically says is, here's where we're at, here's what can happen if you stay on this path, but if you change and look at these other opportunities, there's a way to turn it around for you and your family. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of people have kids that, I hate to see a family where a child grows up without a dad, right. or grows up with a mom because they were either tied up with addiction or involved in street crimes and violence. Mm-hmm. So if we don't do this to try to break a cycle, we'll continue down a path, and the person will continue to do bad things and continue to go to prison.
Right.
So we got to change. We got to change society, and and another thing, we working in our school system with our kids, we have programs. We have the gang resistance education training. We had the Educate Kids EKG, educate mm-hmm. kids about guns, gun violence. We have other programs that we bring in to try to help children at a young age, because I believe if we work with the parents and work with the kids when they're little, we can help them stay on that path,
right.
the right path.
Right.
I always tell kids, stay in school, get as much education as you can, follow the law, listen to your parents, listen to your teachers, and you're going to be fine. Mm-hmm. But again, it takes, what they say, it takes a community to raise
yes.
a child.
Exactly. Now, you recently spoke at the 20th anniversary of the Jennifer Short Memorial Ride. Tell us what that is, and give us a little background on the case.
In early 2000, we had a case where a Short family, was found murdered in Virginia, just north of Martinsville, and the daughter was missing. 30 days after that homicide investigation began, the remains of Jennifer Short were found on Grogan Road at the bridge there at the Grogan Road, just off of River Road. Mm-hmm. And so it began an investigation. We were working with Henry County Sheriff's Office on their homicide, helping them, not knowing 30 days later we'd be totally involved, because now one of the victims of that horrendous crime a little girl was found in our county. Mm-hmm. And it took us all the way from Rockingham County and Henry County to Inuvik, Yellowknife, which is up in the Northwest Territory of Canada. Mm-hmm. We were actually there, and those names I heard before Ice Road Truckers. Right. The show on TV.
Right.
But that's where we're at, and it's cold and it's way off and stuff like this. But many miles have been covered, many hours of investigation have been involved from the local, state, and the FBI level. So what happened was, working on the case, no one has been arrested at this point, and we have run a task force before, And about a year ago, I was talking with Lane Perry and said, let's establish a task force, and I agree with him, to look over the files to see if there's anything that we may have missed. Sometime getting a fresh set of eyes.
Absolutely.
So that has been worked on and continued in as many pieces of evidence there. If there's anything that needs to be submitted for DNA analysis or any other type of forensic analysis, go ahead and do it. You know, so but we have support of local, state, and federal on this current task force. And I was just talking to former Captain Howell, Detective Howell, and she assured me that she is interested in doing any work she can. She's retired, but she said she'd be willing to help us. And Tammy, I appreciate her call this morning. It just happened to talk to her this morning.
And she was one of the investigators on the original.
She is one. But several investigators have worked on this case along the way, and I commend every one of them. But back to the memorial ride, it's probably, I don't know, probably 50 bikes and some cars came in. Did a little ceremony this past Saturday on the Jennifer Short Bridge. It's been named after Jennifer Short, and we talked to some of the family and just reassured them that any case of homicide that's not cleared is open, and it's still open for investigation. Any information gleaned, I think right now it's about $62,000 reward still involved on this particular case. And so if you know anything, if you're watching this podcast, either contact the Henry County Sheriff's Office or the Rockingham County Sheriff's Office or Crime Stoppers of Rockingham County if you want to be anonymous, and let us know that one piece of information maybe that makes this case. And I believe, and to this day I believe, that somebody out there is listening and you know what's going on. Now is the time to help us bring the Short murder case to closure.
Now the ride also raises money for
the foundation for it's a Jennifer Short Basic Memorial Foundation, and the money goes to a scholarship.
Scholarships.
Yeah. So, and now Ray Reynolds has been doing this for 20 years. He's been coordinating this ride. Chef Draper, Chef Perry, myself have worked together on this, and it's just been a lot of support. And like I said, there were some family members that were present this past Saturday, and we talked for a little bit. But you know, I just remember, you know, when the case first happened in 2002, where I was down in UNCW, taking my daughter down to college down there, and that's when I first saw the shot and the blimp of the news story coming out. And then when I got back, I didn't realize that, you know, we were going to become involved. 30 days later, we're going to become heavily involved in this investigation. So I appreciate everybody's thoughts and prayers for our investigators, for the families of the Short family. Keep them in your thoughts and prayers. Try to help where you can, but if you know any information, please contact Henry County Sheriff's Office or the Rockingham County Sheriff's Office pertaining to the Short murders that happened in 2002 up in Henry County.
Now recently the Rockingham County Sheriff's Office got a little over $80,000 in grant money to put AEDs in all of our patrol cars.
Right.
First of all, what is an AED? What do they do? And why did you think it was important that each one of the patrol units have one?
Well, it's an auto defibrillator system, and basically it's an electronic system that basically shocks your heart to start beating again, gets it back going again, restarts your heart.
And it talks you through it. It's all mechanical.
I go to a lot of the sheriff's conferences, and I talk to a lot of the vendors to see what the latest is out there. But the Zoll system is one of the systems that we've been using for several years around the courthouse and also in some of our cars. And I said, you know what, our deputies, because of, and I'll tell you, our paramedics, they work hard, and they're shorthanded.
Absolutely.
They are shorthanded, and so they're running a lot of calls, and they work hard. And sometimes when they get a call, particularly an unknown cardiac type call, what happens is they'll dispatch a deputy. Well, I said, if we're being dispatched in a situation of a heart attack, if the deputy's being dispatched and he gets there before the paramedics, if he can get his AED system there and attach it to the person and go ahead and do the survey to make sure that if that person needs to be shocked, you'll have it there.
Right.
So minutes count when it comes to your heart stopping. And you know, every minute is a deterioration, a percentage chance of you not surviving.
Right.
So if we can get an AED in place, place it on you, and start your heart again, your survivability rate, it just goes up.
And
every minute.
it analyzes you, and if you don't need
It's
to be shocked, it won't shock you.
It won't shock
But
you.
if you
But
do,
but
it'll tell you
yeah,
it does.
It may still say do compressions, or it may say, it said shock, and then you tell everybody, it says, goes to the cycle, says it's clear, stand back, and then you hit that button, and it'll go through the cycle, and it will provide the shock that can help give the shock of life to help start your heart again.
Right.
So that, I think that was, we purchased those, and I thought that was some of the best spent money because it helps to save a life.
Right.
And hopefully those systems will be utilized over the next few years to save lives across Rockingham County in case of emergency. I even went back through the CPR and part of the first aid, and also the AED system. So I'm good.
All right.
Yeah, I'm up on it too.
All right, and you made sure that every car on our patrol division was equipped
That's
with
right.
that.
Every one of our MART units that work on the patrol division side are equipped.
All right. Cuts versus cuffs, the basketball game. Tell me about that.
That was okay. That was a fundraiser where the barbers of the local community played law enforcement, and it was kind of an interesting game there. I thought there was, we used to play the preachers.
Right.
Yeah, we played against the faith community, but those guys, they were pretty tough. So now we took on the barbers.
That's what I hear.
But the barbers are pretty tough too. I got to tell you.
Yeah.
Again, we had a good time. Mary
I
Martin.
think they were calling in ringers though. That's what I hear.
Well, I don't know.
That's what I hear.
I don't know. Mary Martin was one of the coordinators that I talked to.
Yeah, she's great.
Mary's great. She's all the place. Matter of fact, she was in the mock jail when I came up, and then I had to sit in the mock jail for a while. but the point was Mary, you coordinated a great event, a great fundraiser to help in the community and stuff like this.
A Relay for Life.
Relay for Life,
yes.
yeah, for our cancer program and stuff like this. And Relay for Life is, it's coming up soon. We'll be having an event here for Relay for Life. But this is one of the fundraisers they were doing, and it's called
Cuts versus Cuffs.
That's right. So I did offer a challenge because this year we did get slightly beat.
Yeah.
And I said, well, next year we'll have some more players. So Kevin, maybe I'll have you out there.
Oh, I think I'm a little too old for that. But,
you're never too old to play basketball. So it was fun. It was fun.
Right.
But thank you, Mary Martin, and everybody else that had something to do. And thank the Madison Maydan Rec Center for allowing us to be able to use your facility and all of the supporters there also.
Right. All right, we are, with the cooler weather coming up on us, we're going to transition over into what I call festival season here soon.
Here's what I would just tell you this. Get on the internet, watch your newspaper, watch TV. There are going to be fall festivals. I think the 16th.
About every weekend.
Well, the 16th of September, I think, starts it off with the Riverfest in Eden.
Right.
And then about every weekend, there'll be a festival.
Every Saturday.
All over the county. Come out, enjoy. It's always good food, good company. You'll see Kevin and I out there. Good company and good food, good music, and just
it's a good time.
Yeah. And coming out of COVID and stuff where we are all restricted and stuff, it's nice to be able to get out and talk to people, shake hands, and
Absolutely.
And to see our friends that we haven't seen in a while.
Absolutely, and it's always a good time. Well, I believe that's going to wrap up our show for today, for this month. Like I said, there's just a lot going on.
Don't forget, school's starting the 29th of August.
Give yourself some extra
Watch
time.
out for our children. Watch out for the school buses. Let's be safe around those school zones.
That's right. And we'll see you next month right here on Sheriff Spotlight.